I learned today that there is an estimate out there, estimated by whom I don't know, a credible authority, I would hope, like the International Federation of Honest Estimators, something of that order. Anyway, someone has estimated that at least 45,000 books have been written and published on the subject of Napoleon Bonaparte. 45,000! That's a lot of books. James Patterson will not write that many books, even though he works on 35 books at a time. If he published 100 books a year, it would still take him 450 years to publish that many, if my math is right. 45,000 books on any subject is a big, thick mess of books. It's only my opinion, but I think that when 45,000 books have been written about something, about one person, chances are very, very good that that's enough. No more needs to be said on that subject. Too many trees have already fallen. 45,000 books have to cover a lot of ground. And that's not even counting all the books that aren't exactly on Napoleon, but in which he plays a prominent part. That would probably include at least another 100,000 books. As an estimate, of course. What I'm trying to say is that I think the subject of Napoleon Bonaparte has been exhausted. Think of him as a mountain filled with gold. Miners have been at it for years. Eventually, all of that precious ore will be played out. There is no more. He's now a hill of dirt and a ghost town. I think it might be time, past time, to declare a moratorium on books about Napoleon Bonaparte. There are plenty of other fascinating things and intriguing people to write about. Napoleon is certainly interesting and important, had a huge effect on many people's lives in his day, but for goodness sakes, that rug has been beaten to death. I'm thinking that 45,000 books have covered him quite thoroughly. I mean from every conceivable angle, and probably a lot of angles that don't even exist. So we go ahead and take the step and say no more books about Napoleon. If you're in the process of writing a book about Napoleon and you can prove it, you've got some pages written or at least have some notes, then you can go ahead and finish it. But from now on, nobody starts to work on a book about Napoleon. Nations get together and sign treaties about global warming, nuclear proliferation, and endangered species. Now they agree, no more books about Napoleon. We can find some other general or emperor, or maybe we walk away from the world leaders and would-be planet conquerors. We can write about a scientist or an artist or a teacher, maybe a comedian or a Roman Catholic priest. But not Napoleon. We've been like junkies, hooked on Napoleon, and now we're going to step back and kick the habit. 45,000 books have covered him. I'm sure of it. We don't need 52,000 or 67,000 books on Napoleon Bonaparte. There has to be a time when we just say, stop. Sometimes you can say with a quiet confidence that enough has been said and enough is enough. We, as humans, have done our work on Napoleon. I'm willing to say it, that time has come, and I haven't even read any of those 45,000 books. I know people will object to this. They will say it's censorship. Come on, it's not. But if somebody wants to write another book on Napoleon, they should be permitted to do it. I understand that argument. I sympathize with it. Enough so that I'm willing to lift the ban on books about Napoleon. How long was that in place? One of the shortest bans in history, I'll bet on that. Over before anyone else was aware of it. So no more ban. But I would urge prospective authors to give some thought to other subjects. There are so many other things to write about. I guess it must be like burgers. People are going to line up and buy the burger that everyone else seems to want. Billions and billions served. People are going to continue to write books about Napoleon. He's the Big Mac of history. Or he's the Whopper. Or maybe we should say he's the Slider of history. You go to the White Castle Publishing House and you order up another 5 books about Napoleon. Can't get enough of the dude. Thinking about this, I'm almost tempted to write my own book about Napoleon. Join the crowd. Why not? Napoleon on Mars. The Red Planet, the god of war, that's where he belongs. He didn't die on St. Helena. He was abducted or rescued by aliens and taken to Mars, along with a stripper named Cherie Love. And he is there to this day, living underground, assembling an army that will return to Earth and restore him, not just to the throne of France and all of Europe and Russia. Boy, he wants a piece of Russia, all right. But eventually, he'll be the potentate of the entire world, with Cherie Love as his queen. I'm going to start in on that book right away, 45,001, but that's just an estimate.